Funding for the Maddy Report is made possible by grants from the California Emerging Technology Fund, leaders in the quest for digital equity. The James Irvine Foundation, committed to a California where all low-income workers have the power to advance economically. Fresno State Associated Students, Inc., students serving students. BNSF Railway, moving our economy for 160 years. And The Wonderful Company. The Maddy Report is also made possible thanks to contributions from Harris Ranch Inn and Restaurant and E&J Gallo Winery. From the Maddy Institute, the Public Policy Institute for the Valley's 4 public universities, this is the Maddy Report with Executive Director of the Maddy Institute, Mark Keppler.
Welcome. As an East Coast transplant for almost 40 years ago, I can tell you when people think about the Valley, they think of about 3 words. They'll think agriculture, they'll probably think water, and they'll think Fresno State. So we're very fortunate to be joined by the current president of Fresno State, Saúl Jiménez-Sandoval, to tell us what's going on with Fresno State, kind of the state of Fresno State. Welcome to the Maddy Report.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to see you and to talk to the Maddy Report.
Thanks. So recently, you wrote an op-ed where you said that Fresno State was seeking to strengthen Valley communities with educational partnerships. I just want to wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
We have Bulldog Bound, and Bulldog Bound is this contract that we have with the student, the school district, and then Fresno State as well. And we promise the families who sign up for this that we will admit their child into Fresno State, their son or daughter to Fresno State, and we will provide a very consistent, very structured type of information to our student and to our families as well. So the family is really a crucial component of all of this.
Yeah, it seems like you're creating a kind of a very seamless pathway to higher education, which is so important in the Valley because we lag a little behind the rest of the state in the number of people with baccalaureate degrees, and
right.
That's obviously going to have a big impact. Let me ask you about this. You also have done this on the heels of a strategic plan you've been working on for over a year that's going to set the goals and strategies for the university for the next 5 years. Can you tell us what some of those key strategies and goals are?
So the key strategies for that, it's the basics. Is how do we take care of our people? How do we create an atmosphere at Fresno State in which we can all thrive? And then how do we get Fresno State to the next level of excellence? And this is excellence in terms of industry, in terms of graduation rates as well, and also in terms of who we are as an institution. How do we take pride in the institution? And how is it that the institution seamlessly is one in the power of the Valley as well? So that's sort of like the core. The specifics, of course, are online, and I can go into that, but I know that we have limited time.
Yeah, but I want to transition to the next thing. One thing that's kind of important is kind of the margin of excellence, frankly. There are some people that, like you and others, that want to take Fresno State to the next level. I mean, going from something of a regional powerhouse or kind of the big academic institution in the Valley to something really on a national or international level. And I know that CSU and the university can't advocate for political efforts and things of that nature, but there was something on the ballot a little while ago called Measuring in 2022 that garnered 46% of the vote and would have given some money to Fresno State in terms of a tax that would go toward Fresno State. The same folks or similar folks are going to bring that back in next March, in March of 24. And that would be a 1-cent sales tax on every $4 purchased in Fresno County.
Right. Yeah.
That's going to generate $1.6 billion for Fresno
that's
State.
some money, right, Mark?
That is some money. Yes. I think people would really want to know is how is that money going to be spent?
The money will be spent in a very efficient way. The money, if it were to pass, and again, I cannot endorse it, but I can certainly speak about what would happen if it were to pass. 85% of the funds would go to the academic side of the house. We would strengthen engineering.
By the way, if I can just interrupt for just a second, I want to just highlight that's different from the last measure where I think a third went to athletic. Right. Now it's down to 15%.
That's right. That's correct. So 85% goes to the academic side of the house. We would strengthen partners, very specific areas that promote the vitality and the economy of the region. Engineering is one of them. Nursing is another one. Criminology. We would strengthen the arts. We would strengthen our partnership with nonprofits in the region in order to bolster more community engagement with Fresno State and more internships for our students. We would have scholarships for our students. We would have money set aside as well for research because we're an R2 institution. So these are very concrete areas. But aside from that, of course, we also have deferred maintenance, and we would address the deferred maintenance. The biggest issue in all of this, though, is that we would take Fresno State from a university that is grand, that is very, very strong and very well recognized, to this incredible university with an influx of $1.6 billion. Imagine what could happen to the university, to Fresno State at that level.
Yeah, there was recently a Fresno Bee editorial on this, and they were pointing out the fact that, some people say, well, this is going to impact lower income people more because they're paying all this tax. But the person said that
I'm not sure that it was the Fresno Bee. I think it was another publication.
But this person was making the point, though, that when they've done polling, those are the very people that want this. So that was kind of interesting.
Well, let's talk about that, right? 85% of my students are non-white, meaning that 85% of my students come from diverse communities. 80% of my students receive financial aid in a significant way. We invest about $300 million a year in financial aid at Fresno State. So the type of demographics that I have and the type of students that I have will be the ones, who are they're first generation.
And that's a step on the ladder to economic success. I mean, certainly I can say that personally from my experience. My parents had a high school degree, and I was able to do something with a higher education. Let me ask you this one last question. We've got about a minute left. Some would argue that Fresno State athletics plays a pretty big role in kind of branding the university and frankly the community. Lots of changes in college athletics, with all this conference realignment going on. Where do you see Fresno State athletics in the future, and what impact do you think that'll have on the academic side of the house?
I think Fresno State athletics is one with the university in its branding. Why? Because it is the passport that we have to the world, and it is a passport that we export continuously. Just one single game, for example, this last weekend brought in about 39,000 people to the stadium. That's 39,000 people, present in the presence of the showcase of Fresno State. So it is definitely an integral part of the brand.
And I'm sorry, but we're running out of time, but I also want to note, it's also going to be on national TV.
That's right.
And so it really does highlight the university and the region in that respect. So I can certainly see your point.
The stronger athletics is, the stronger the academic side of the house will become.
Okay. Well, thank you, President Jiménez-Sandoval, for being with us. Up next, we're going to talk to President Lynnette Zelezny with CSU Bakersfield to hear on what's going on down in Bakersfield. That conversation in a moment. This is the Maddy Report. Welcome back. I'm Mark Keppler with the Maddy Institute. As you know, Bakersfield and Kern County are really the energy epicenter for California, producing 70% of all the oil and gas in California. What's less well known is that it's also the home of significant wind, solar, geothermal, and biofuels energy generation. And CSU Bakersfield, is well positioned to take advantage of that. What are their plans? Well, we get to ask the president of CSUB, Lynnette Zelezny. Welcome back to the Maddy Report.
It's always nice to be with you, Mark. Thanks so much for the invite.
Yeah, always great. Last year we were talking about this $80 million energy center that you now have at Cal State Bakersfield. I just wanted to follow up on that conversation. Where is that now? What's happening there?
$83 million. Again, thanks to—
I'm sorry for forgetting the extra three.
Those extra millions really do count for us. And thanks to Governor Newsom for the support that he gave to Kern County and for supporting innovation in energy. And Cal State Bakersfield is at the epicenter of energy innovation. So we're really proud of it. And just to give you an update, tomorrow we will be having a MOU signing with Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories. And we're very proud that we'll be the only CSU that has an MOU with a national laboratory of that stature. And we will leverage that MOU to really think about then the next chapter of how do we build our energy expertise, faculty, bringing together corporate and academic researchers with students, and then we have an RFP out for the building, and there'll be a presentation at the Board of Trustees probably in spring, and I look forward to getting some dirt turned up shortly after
Well,
that.
I think what you've done there in Bakersfield actually is really smart. You know, we have a 23 campus CSU system, and you've kind of said, okay, we're going to be the leaders on energy. And I think each school kind of has to claim what they're really good at. And you've certainly focused Bakersfield logically on energy. Let me ask you this. I want to talk to you about the California Master Plan for Higher Education. This thing that was set up in the 1960s, and it's kind of considered the model nationwide. It said, okay, listen, community colleges, you focus on the 2-year associate's degree in providing career training. Cal States, you focus on the baccalaureate and master's degrees. And UCs, you focus on the PhD and doctoral programs and research. It seems now you're seeing a bit of a shift here. You're seeing community colleges want to offer baccalaureates. You see Cal States wanting to offer doctorates. Is there a time to revisit that 1960 master plan?
Yeah, we're really proud of Bakersfield's role in the master plan. Dorothy Donahoe, obviously from Bakersfield, played a key role in that. And we really want to, again, though, always be thinking about the future. And certainly the future is making sure there's opportunities for as many students as possible to take advantage of higher education, whether it be at the community colleges, the CSUs, or at the UCs. And certainly what we're interested in is making sure that we're not competing with one another. We're being good partners to one another, but we want to make sure that we can produce in this state 1.1 million more 4-year university degrees for our workforce development in California. And so is there time for discussion? Always. But again, what you're seeing is that, and I completely support that, if community colleges, in fact, Taft just put together a really good proposal for a bachelor degree in dental hygienics management. Well, we're not going to have that in the CSU, but that's a great job.
Those degrees or areas that aren't covered by the CSU could be covered by community colleges. And same with the doctor programs at CSU, those that are not covered.
Exactly. So doctors of, physical therapy, that's not going to be something that's offered at the UC. Those are applied subjects, and that's what the California State universities do so very well.
Yeah.
And then don't forget, a lot of people say, well, why do we need both the UC and the CSU and the community colleges? But don't forget, each of us, also have specialties. So,
Right.
a lot of folks say to me, well, gosh, I'm going to go to a UC, but I want to be a teacher. It's like, well, the CSU is where we train the teachers. The CSU is where we train the accountants, the engineers, the nurses. Those are the CSU applied subjects. We're proud of those as well as many others.
We're running up against the time, and I know you, because you're so modest, you didn't allow me to ask you. I wanted to ask you a question about what you're proudest of. You got about 15 seconds, if you can, what you're proudest of. You've done so much great work there.
Super proud of the public-private partnership with Bakersfield College. That college is on my campus here at CSU. We're one of a kind here in the state. Super proud of $200 million of facilities improvements. Super proud of those soaring graduation rates and our work with B3K to really improve 100,000 new jobs in Kern County for workforce development.
Well, thank you very much for your contribution to the CSU, to the Valley, and to Bakersfield specifically. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for your leadership. It's great to be with you.
Great to be with you too. Well, up next, we're going to go to the other end of the Valley and talk to the new president at Stan State. That conversation in a moment. This is Mark Keppler with the Maddy Report. Welcome back. I'm Mark Keppler with the Maddy Institute. Stan State, as it's affectionately called, really ensures that folks in the North Valley get a high-quality CSU education. Our guest is interim president of California State University Stanislaus, Dr. Susan Borrego. Welcome to the Maddy Report.
Thanks so much. Nice to be here today.
I've always thought that your campus is one of the most attractive campuses in the CSU, but it's a hidden gem. People don't know about it, but the word is getting out. One thing I noticed that recently you were ranked number 2 for best bang for the buck by Washington Monthly. That's pretty impressive.
Yes.
So what makes Stan State unique, and what attracted you to Stan State?
Yeah. Well, two things. One, the attraction is as a CSU with a commitment to being a regional comprehensive, a lot of first-gen students. That part's a no-brainer for me. That's work I've been doing my entire career. It's what I believe education should be about. When you think about Stan State in the ranking, it shouldn't surprise anyone that with 74% of our students being first-generation students, they meet an academic degree that then helps position them in a job, and their social mobility moves. So that doesn't surprise any of us. I think the reality is, for every dollar a Stan State student invests in their degree, their earnings equal $12.5 per single dollar. I think the other thing that's a big piece of information is that when people are talking about the increase this year in
I wanted to ask you about that, because one of the things you're very forward. One of the things I noticed in looking up some things about Stan State was I was shocked by this. Actually, it takes less than 1 year for a student to pay back the cost of their education. With tuition increasing the CSU, some may wonder, is that going to be impacted by the increase in tuition?
It shouldn't at all. The increase is $372 this year. It will go into effect in 2024. But for fully 73% of our students that receive financial aid, they will experience no increase, because a third of that fee increase is going into financial aid. So many of our students won't experience that. Another 12 to 15% of our students, it will be minimized, the increase, because they get some sort of grant or SUG funding that will help offset that.
Yeah, I mean, it is really important to underscore the impact that schools like Stan State have on social mobility. I mean, you're in the top 20% in the nation when it comes to moving students, improving their economic mobility. That's very impressive.
Yeah, we're really proud of that, and work hard to make sure our students have the support they need to be able to complete that degree. That's the biggest thing. A student's success, that's what our success is.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, it's the lack of folks with baccalaureate degrees in the Valley is something that's important. Companies want to locate here, but they need to have a workforce that's educated, and schools like Stan State are really filling that void.
Well, and we do a lot of work outside the classroom, a lot of internships. I was in a meeting this morning with the city manager of Turlock, who has been the city manager and worked for the city for years. His first internship was in the city manager's office in the city of Turlock. It gets better than that.
That is so relevant and so timely. It's very true of a lot of students here in the Valley. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak, because I know you're very busy as the interim president at Stan State, and Susan Borrego. Thanks so much for joining us. Up next, we're going to hear from UC Merced Chancellor Juan Munoz about what's happening at the Valley's UC. That conversation in a moment. This is the Maddy Report. Welcome back. I'm Mark Keppler with the Maddy Institute. We're talking with the Valley's leaders in higher education. Our next guest is the leader of the Valley's University of California campus. He is UC Merced Chancellor Juan Munoz. Welcome back to the Maddy Report.
Good to be back with you, Mark.
So, you recently commented that at UC Merced, quote, student success has always been our North Star, unquote. It appears that's being recognized nationally. Notably, the Wall Street Journal recently ranked UC Merced 15th for public institutions and 59th overall for rankings of universities across the United States. I mean, when you consider that UC Merced is kind of the new kid on the block, they've only been around less than 20 years. That's a pretty incredible ranking. That's not easy to do. So what do you attribute UC Merced's success to?
Yeah, no, we're very proud of those rankings, not just Washington Monthly, but there are several other publications that have also recognized the arc of the university, including a report by an organization called Third Way that also recognizes this common theme of academic excellence of students leading to social and economic mobility. I would certainly attribute a great deal to the culture of the campus here, a campus where many of our faculty and staff come from similar backgrounds, many from the Valley. I would certainly associate the quality of our faculty research, our facilities, as well as just a deep commitment to the kind of students that come here. Overwhelmingly are from California, well over 50% are Pell eligible, first generation, very diverse.
Now, I'd like to follow up on that because it's really interesting. My daughter's on our high school robotics team. One of the best students in that program last year is one of the 15 students that's part of your UC Merced's inaugural San Joaquin Valley Prime program. And this girl chose UC Merced over a number of top universities. It's basically tracking students, Valley students, in becoming doctors. Sounds like an incredible opportunity.
Right. We had about 1,300 students begin the application for the BS to the MD program. And we were going to admit 12. We admitted 15. Very, very selective students that could have go anywhere in the country, but chose to come here to be part of a seamless program that leads from a bachelor's degree directly into medical school. They'll begin their medical education here at UC Merced in our new medical education building. And incidentally, this is why, here's another ranking that came out last Monday. U.S. News and World Report ranked UC Merced 60th among all national, not regional, national universities, 60, both public and private, and among public, 28th in the country, 28th in the country among all national universities. In fact, ahead of 2 other University of California campuses. So we're very, very proud. And we think we're a magnificent option for the best students in our Valley and in our state and our country.
Yeah, and they stay here. I mean, one of the things about your program is, Valley students have a tendency, once they go through your program and UCSF and come back as doctors, they're going to stay in the Valley and address that problem, which I do want to follow up on the medical school thing. Last year, we talked about the $210 million for your medical education building that's going to be built on campus. Just wondering if you could give us a quick update.
Sure. First of all, it's going to be more than $210 million. It'll be substantially more than that. The final building, we're very, very excited about it. As a matter of fact, come November, I will present the final design drawings and plans to the Board of Regents for final approval. We hope to get into the ground very early in the spring, and hopefully we'll have some press coverage around that. The completion, the delivery timeline has not changed. We hope to have that facility completed by fall of 26th, spring of 27, and the very students we spoke about beginning classes in that building fall of 2027. And we're very, very excited. That'll be the cornerstone to what will eventually lead to an independently accredited School of Medicine at UC Merced.
I've been here since 1987, and they've been talking about that since 1987, and it seems like it got on a rocket ship recently at UC Merced. So congratulations on that. So I want to end with this one last thing. UC Merced, like other UC campuses, is known for its research, but sometimes people don't really understand how that research connects to their daily lives. Can you talk about some of the research you're doing at UC Merced that's improving the lives of people in the San Joaquin Valley?
Yes, of course. Well, UC Merced was placed in the Valley to help, among other things, serve the people of the Valley. And so there's any number of areas of research that are being looked at, whether it's soil, whether it's the water shed, and how water helps irrigate the vast agricultural land in the Valley. But also we have faculty that are studying particulates in the atmosphere and its impact on what they call valley fever and other sort of pulmonary issues. We have people studying traffic. We have people studying soil, water, irrigation, how to provide and how to fertilize in a way that isn't damaging the communities and people's health. And so this is a campus very much dedicated to the region and studying areas that help improve the lives of the people that live here.
Yeah, I was going to say that all the stuff you're talking about are directly related to the people's lives here in the Valley. I want to thank UC Merced Chancellor Juan Munoz, a very busy guy, for joining us. I also want to thank the other presidents of the CSUs for joining us as well. If you want to stay current on state and local politics, you can sign up for the Maddy Daily by logging on to our website at maddyinstitute.com. This is Mark Keppler for the Maddy Institute. Thanks for joining us.
The views expressed in the Maddy Report are those of the individuals participating in the program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Maddy Institute. If you'd like to share your thoughts about today's episode of the Maddy Report, please visit our website at maddyinstitute.org.